Good Thursday, everyone. Thanks for stopping by Garden State Weather and GardenStateWeather.blogspot.com, your source for weather information for the northern mid-Atlantic region 24 hours a day. I'm forecaster Robert Smith with the forecast analysis video discussion for the midway mark of January 16th, 2014. Generally cloudy skies across the region this morning at sunrise. We have some snow flurries in the air. It's light snow in Mount Pocono and Avoca Scranton. Also, a little bit of obscuration and some light snow here in northwestern New Jersey and Sussex County. Some of this may not be reaching the ground, and if it is, it's very light. There's also a little bit of fog out there in scattered areas this morning, but nothing like we saw yesterday morning. And the temperatures are running anywhere from the upper 20s in the Poconos to the low and mid 30s in northern New Jersey, low and mid 30s across the Hudson River Valley and into Connecticut, and right around 40 or so in the Newark, New York City vicinity, a little over 40, 42 at JFK this morning, and temperatures are still in the mid to upper 30s across the east ends of Long Island with a little bit of fog out there as well this morning, and all the winds have backed around to the northwest as a cold front has now made its way east across the forecast region this morning, and therefore the temperatures are beginning to fall, and we have a few disturbances moving through the region this morning, and that's why we have a little bit of lift and a little bit of light snow action across the region, especially across hillier sections of northwestern New Jersey and the Poconos, where we could see about an inch or so of snow at the highest elevations, around 1,000 feet or so. Doppler radar this morning showing some of the snow. It's scattered, it's very light, and it's exiting now across portions of eastern Pennsylvania, the Delmarva region, southeast of Philadelphia. They have a few flakes of snow this morning in Philadelphia International Airport too, and some snow down here towards Richmond, Virginia too, on the backside of this cold front that has now slid through and offshore the mid-Atlantic coast states. And the good news this morning versus yesterday morning is we have no watches and warnings on land here or on the ocean for the New Jersey, New York City, Philadelphia metro area. However, there are some small craft advisories here until 8 o'clock for the back bays here of the Chesapeake and the Delaware River from probably just the mouth of the ocean here from Rehoboth Beach inland towards the back bays here towards Wilmington until around 8 o'clock this morning. Morning surface chart from weatherrowandoak.com. A digital atmosphere software shows the cold front now all off the mid-Atlantic coast states, but there is a little bit of a disturbance here across the Virginias, which is sliding up and northeast across the region this morning with a few light scattered snow showers, even coating the ground at about 1,000 feet or so up towards the Poconos region. A little bit of light snow action this morning too, some flurries in Philadelphia this morning as the cold air advection begins to come in. Temperatures on the downslide a little bit today, but temperatures should still be running generally in the 40s with a more westerly, northwesterly component to the air. Brief high pressure building in across the southeastern states towards the mid-Atlantic coast states this morning through the afternoon hours. And here's our next weather maker, another cold front. And a series of these disturbances will be building into the mid-Atlantic coast states over the next several days, each one dropping cold fronts through the region and colder air coming in with disturbances blending in the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere to produce some snow across the region, especially Friday night and Saturday morning, and perhaps again on Sunday morning. None of which will be very accumulating across the region, but we might have to monitor the one on Saturday morning, especially over the hills of northwest Jersey and also across the Poconos for a light coating of snow on the ground. And as this front moves through the region, just one after another as we introduce colder air into the region and eventually carve out a big trough here across the eastern United States with part of the polar vortex dropping down through southern New England and into the northern mid-Atlantic coast states by Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. So we're really on a downslide now. Disturbances carving out the mean trough in the means here across the eastern U.S. over the weekend into early next week, and then things get quite interesting after that point. And for the aviational weather deck this morning, we have MVFR to basically VFR conditions across the route this morning. Out of Newark this morning, we have basically fair skies, broken clouds at 2200, overcast at 3700, so it's basically mostly cloudy right now. The winds are northwest at 10 miles an hour, visibility better than 10, temperature 39, dew point 31, humidity 72%. And there'll be some overcast conditions early this morning and then broken clouds later this morning into this afternoon. With visibilities better than 10 miles and a northwest wind at about 10 miles per hour. A little gusty out there later this morning as the sun begins to mix down. And then for later tonight into tomorrow morning, basically scattered clouds to broken clouds at 5 to 8,000 feet, variable winds later this evening and out of the southwest tomorrow ahead of the next frontal system approaching Visibility is better than 10 miles, and tomorrow should be a pretty nice day too. Out of Philadelphia this morning, we do have a little light snow that is occurring. Temperature 36 degrees, and the wind is out of the northwest at 7. There's some light snow, overcast conditions at 4,500, and they'll have some light snow showers across the region this morning with some broken clouds at 3,000, and northwest winds and broken ceilings and some scattered clouds late this afternoon through this evening. A nice day overall after the snow flurries move out of the region. Northwest winds at about 10 knots, visibility is better than 6 miles. Scattered clouds early tomorrow morning and broken about 8,000 tomorrow late morning into the early afternoon, with the wind shifting around to the southwest, and the visibility is about 10 miles, and basically VFR conditions en route later this afternoon through tomorrow morning. Visible satellite loop or visible satellite imagery this morning shows plenty of clouds across the region. Even though the cold front has exited to the east and offshore, we still have a little bit of disturbance left back here across the Virginias, which is riding north and east, and that area of lift across the region is producing enough moisture to include some snow showers across the region especially, but there's a big dry slot here developing across central Pennsylvania down through the Virginia mountains. Here's our next weather maker here. Clouds increase rapidly again later tonight. Actually, by tomorrow morning, clouds will begin to increase across the region once again. And right now, currently on the radar, we can see a plethora of precipitation here from the Virginia mountains all the way into central and southeastern New York State. Some of this producing some light snow on the ground this morning at the airport in Philadelphia, also parts of northwestern New Jersey, and also parts of the Poconos exiting now into southeastern New York State. National wide-scale view here of the water vapor imagery, and we can show big ridging here developing. This is some pleasant weather, but some very dry weather across California where wildfires continue to be an issue. This is the positive PNA signature that we've been talking about, and this blocking pattern is developing trough after trough and amplifying the troughs as they swing east and build into the eastern United States. We see this morning with multiple vortexes moving through the flow, and basically carving out a mean trough here in the eastern United States. Here's our next low in the upper levels of the atmosphere and surface here across the Great Lakes region, or the southeastern Canada, the Hudson Bay region. And this area here will be sending another cold front through the region with pulses of colder air moving into the region. Temperatures by Saturday will remain in the upper 20s to low and mid 30s. There could even be some light snow across the region on Friday night into Saturday morning. Some of that could accumulate. Basically, we're looking for disturbances to continue in the mean trough axis through next week. After cold front and cold front and cold front move through the region, by next week, part of the polar vortex is going to drop down through southeastern Canada towards the Great Lakes and really get things wound up here on the chilly side, and perhaps even a little bit stormy as we head towards later Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. NAMWRF cloud and reflectivity forecast going into motion here. Here's our light activity of snow across the region this morning with plenty of clouds across the region. Later in the day, that waxes and wanes as that disturbance lifts to the north and east, and we get into a broken cloud and mostly sunny sky across the region. A few scattered clouds across the region, temperatures in the 40s today. And then by later tonight and tomorrow, clouds increase again, especially tomorrow morning. And then a cold front moves through the region by tomorrow evening. And we could have a little bit of moisture here on the northwest side of this by Friday night and Saturday morning. Some of that would be in the form of light snow across the region, especially over hillier sections, but nothing really widespread to mention at this time. And by Saturday afternoon, plethora of variable cloud cover, a northwest flow in the air, and colder temperatures as a secondary front moves through on Saturday morning, with temperatures dropping back down in through the 30s and upper 20s across the region on Saturday afternoon as we step down into a much colder pattern. This is the kind of pattern that introduces much colder air into the pattern across the eastern United States, and also stormy times ahead too as well. Mostly cold to begin with. This is an indication of very strong blocking in the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere. We have a strong ridging here across the Aleutian Islands into the Canadian Maritimes here, and also all into the western United States with a large high pressure ridge. This is a positive Pacific North American teleconnection here, PNA. It's showing up on all the model guidance in the 8 to 10 day period through the last days of the month here, with a strong downstream trough here, and part of the polar vortex getting into southeastern Canada and northern halves of the northeastern America here. right through early next week and the following week as well here on the European model, also on the GFS, and also on the Canadian ensemble model as well. In the means here, we can see basically the same kind of situation. We've got colder air coming in and Arctic air arriving with pulses of storm systems moving through the region, and some of these in the northern stream will begin to merge with energy here in the southern stream, but we just don't know the timing of this yet, and we could be dealing with a much colder pattern by early next week and possibly even some snow around here Tuesday night and Wednesday morning. GFS forecast into motion now. Here is our cold front well off the coast. Our little disturbance here left over behind here early this morning. Once that scoots out of here, scattered to broken clouds. Here's our next weather maker coming in from off of the Great Lakes with cold front that will be swinging through the region during late tonight and early tomorrow morning. And then that front moves off the coast. Here is our disturbance on Saturday morning, which rides northeast along it. As that cold front comes in, could find some light snow across the Poconos, southeastern Pennsylvania, northwestern New Jersey, the Hudson River Valley. Not expecting much here because this flow is very, very amplified and very progressive. Here's our next system that's kicking it out across as it dives down through the upper Midwest. And as this system does so on Sunday, it carves out again a trough axis with another low across the Great Lakes in the mean trough axis here, and that kicks this one out to sea. So nothing is really going to stick around enough to amplify itself in terms of major snowfall here. By the time we get into early next week, especially as we get in towards Monday afternoon and Monday evening, we find a Miller B type storm system here with a system exiting through the Ohio and Tennessee River Valley, and then deepening a little bit as it approaches and offshore the mid-Atlantic coast states, particularly southeastern Connecticut, Long Island, and New York. This could throw back some snow across the region, especially over interior sections of Connecticut, New York, Long Island, and northwestern New Jersey. We'll have to watch for just how this develops and the location of this by Monday night and Tuesday morning, because we could be definitely looking at some snow here that's accumulating on the ground through the interior of the I-95 northern corridor here. Very progressive weather systems here as this low deepens early next week. Mean trough begins to get carved out here into the eastern United States with lower heights and very cold air building in as high pressure builds across the upper Midwest into the eastern seaboard states. Again, very cold air here beginning to infiltrate with temperatures dropping back down into the 20s next week by Wednesday and Thursday of next week as high pressure begins to try to modify itself through the forecast region early to the mid part of next week. But this is the GFS, and again, another amplification of the trough here around Hudson's Bay continues the trough axis deepening and amplifying once again across the region late next week. So any warm up that occurs late next week will probably be offset by colder temperatures throughout the region by late next week into early next weekend, and the pattern just becomes a little bit more convoluted with disturbances in the southern branch, disturbances in the polar branch, and then the interaction between those, and then the models just go haywire over here. So be on guard for the changeable weather over the next couple of days with a step down in the weather pattern, a very active and changeable one over the next several days into the weekend and early next week as well. I'm forecaster Robert Smith. Will be back bright and early with you again on Friday morning with the latest weather details, and of course 24 hours a day. Those are available on Facebook, Twitter, and both sites, Garden State Weather and GardenStateWeather.blogspot.com. Make it a great Thursday, everyone.